Unearthing ancient civilizations' most shocking food trends throughout human history. Food has been more than mere sustenance. It has defined cultures, shaped civilizations, and revealed the deepest truths about our ancestors. Today, we journey through time to uncover the most shocking and extraordinary food practices of ancient civilizations. The Aztec Empire, divine consumption in the heart of Mesoamerica. The Aztec Empire flourished with culinary practices that would astound modern palates. Beyond their famous chocolate and chili peppers lay far more controversial traditions. The Aztecs practiced ritual cannibalism, consuming the flesh of captured warriors in elaborate ceremonies. Archaeological evidence from Tlatelolco reveals that human sacrifice victims were prepared as sacred meals, believed to transfer the strength and courage of the deceased to the living. Spanish conquistador Bernal Diaz del Castillo documented these practices, describing how priests would consume hearts while still beating. The preparation process was meticulous. Captured warriors were first honored in elaborate rituals before sacrifice. Their flesh was distributed according to strict social hierarchy: hearts for priests, limbs for nobles, and lesser parts for commoners. The Aztecs believed this consumption created spiritual bonds between the living and the heroic dead, transforming meals into divine communion. But perhaps more shocking was their everyday consumption of insects. Aztec markets bustled with vendors selling ant larvae, grasshoppers, and agave worms. These weren't survival foods, they were delicacies. Modern analysis shows these insects provided more protein per gram than beef, revealing the sophisticated nutritional understanding of Aztec cuisine. Children grew up considering chocolate-covered grasshoppers as normal as modern candy, while pregnant women consumed specific insects believed to ensure healthy births. Ancient Egypt, the afterlife feast along the Nile. Ancient Egyptians developed food practices centered around their obsession with the afterlife. Mummification wasn't limited to humans. Entire banquets were preserved for eternity. Archaeologists have discovered mummified joints of beef, bread loaves, and even entire roasted ducks in pharaohs' tombs. King Tutankhamun's burial chamber contained over 400 food items, including wine jars sealed with beeswax. These weren't symbolic offerings. They were actual meals prepared for the deceased's journey through the underworld. The elite consumed foods that seem bizarre today. Fermented fish sauce, similar to modern garum, was a luxury condiment made from fish left to rot in the sun. Wealthy Egyptians prized dormice fattened in special clay pots and force-fed nuts until they could barely move. They also consumed exotic birds like ibises and herons, specially bred in temple complexes for royal consumption. Egyptian banquets featured foods designed to demonstrate wealth and power. Honey-glazed antelope, roasted gazelle, and specially prepared crocodile meat graced pharaonic tables. The wealthy competed through increasingly elaborate food presentations, with some meals requiring months of preparation, involving dozens of specialized cooks. Most shocking was their medicinal cuisine. Papyrus scrolls reveal recipes calling for ground human skull to treat headaches, and crocodile dung mixed with honey as a contraceptive. These weren't desperate measures. They were established medical practices endorsed by royal physicians. The Roman Empire excess beyond imagination. No civilization pushed culinary excess further than Rome. At the height of the empire, Roman banquets became legendary displays of power through food. The wealthy Romans consumed flamingo tongues, peacock brains, and dormouse stuffed with pork and pine nuts. Emperor Caligula once served his guests bread and meat made of gold, demonstrating how food became the ultimate symbol of imperial power. Vitellius reportedly spent the equivalent of $10 million in modern currency on a single feast. Roman excess reached unprecedented levels. Emperor Elagabalus served guests meals where each course contained a different exotic animal, from ostrich brains to lion steaks. Wealthy Romans imported snow from mountain peaks to create chilled desserts, while others consumed pearls dissolved in wine as the ultimate display of decadence. Some nobles kept personal food tasters not just for poison detection, but to ensure perfect flavor balance in every dish. Roman garum, their beloved fish sauce, was made by fermenting fish entrails in salt for months until they liquefied. The smell was so overwhelming that production was banned within city limits, yet it remained the empire's most prized condiment. The practice of vomitoriums, contrary to popular belief, weren't rooms for purging food, but architectural features of amphitheaters. However, Romans did practice strategic vomiting during lengthy banquets to continue eating, viewing it as a practical necessity rather than excess. Ancient China, imperial delicacies in ancient China. Food was medicine, and medicine was food. The imperial courts developed some of history's most unusual culinary traditions. During the Han Dynasty, bird's nest soup wasn't merely a delicacy, it was believed to grant immortality. Made from the hardened saliva of swiftlets, these nests were worth their weight in gold. Emperor Qin Shi Huang sent expeditions across treacherous seas seeking these mystical ingredients. The practice of consuming endangered species for medicinal properties began early. Tiger bone wine, bear paw stew, and shark fin soup were regular features at imperial banquets. Rhinoceros horn was ground into powder and mixed into wine, believed to cure everything from fever to demonic possession. Perhaps most shocking was the preparation of 100-year eggs, chicken or duck eggs buried in clay, ash, salt, and quicklime for weeks until the yolk became dark green and cheese-like. These weren't preservation attempts, but deliberate culinary choices prized for their complex flavors. The imperial kitchen also featured dishes made from rare animals like pandas and snow leopards, considered essential for maintaining the emperor's divine connection to nature. Chinese culinary medicine reached extreme levels. Emperors consumed powdered jade believing it would make them immortal, while royal physicians prescribed meals containing ground pearls for mental clarity. The most bizarre practice involved consuming specially prepared insects that had fed on specific medicinal plants, creating a complex food chain designed to concentrate healing properties. The Maya sacred sustenance, the Maya civilization created one of history's most sophisticated food cultures, where every meal carried spiritual significance. Archaeological evidence from Copan reveals that Maya nobility consumed chocolate mixed with chili peppers and human blood. These weren't casual drinks, but sacred rituals connecting the living with their ancestors. Ceramic vessels found in royal tombs still contain traces of this divine mixture. The Maya practiced a form of agricultural sacrifice, burying jade figurines and human remains in crop fields to ensure fertility. They believed that feeding the earth with blood would guarantee abundant harvests, creating a direct link between death and sustenance. Their fermented beverages shocked Spanish missionaries. Balch, made from fermented honey and bark, induced powerful hallucinogenic visions. Entire communities would consume these drinks during religious festivals, creating collective spiritual experiences that lasted for days. The Maya also created chocolate beverages mixed with hallucinogenic mushrooms, reserved for priests and nobility during sacred ceremonies. Maya food preparation involved elaborate rituals. Cooks underwent purification ceremonies before preparing sacred meals, and certain dishes could only be prepared during specific astronomical alignments. They practiced sophisticated fermentation techniques, creating alcoholic beverages from nearly every available plant, each designed for different spiritual purposes. Ancient Greece. Philosophical feasting in ancient Greece. Food was inseparable from philosophy and social status. Greek symposiums weren't merely dinner parties. They were intellectual battlegrounds fought with wine and delicacies. Greeks consumed foods that would horrify modern sensibilities. Blood sausage made from pig's blood mixed with fat and barley was a common delicacy. They prized strong cheese aged in caves until they were crawling with maggots, considering the insects a sign of proper fermentation. Spartan warriors followed the most extreme diet in the ancient world. Their black broth, made from pork, blood, salt, and vinegar, was deliberately unpalatable. Foreign visitors reportedly couldn't stomach a single sip, yet Spartans consumed it daily as a test of mental strength. The Greeks also practiced ritualistic wine consumption that bordered on poisoning. They mixed wine with seawater, believing it prevented intoxication, while actually creating a dangerous cocktail that caused severe dehydration. Greek athletes consumed bull's blood before competitions, believing it would increase their strength and aggression. Greek culinary culture featured unusual delicacies that reflected their philosophical approach to life. They consumed fermented fish sauce, so potent it was considered a form of currency in some regions. Wealthy Greeks imported exotic spices and foods from across the Mediterranean, creating fusion cuisines that mixed local ingredients with foreign influences in ways that often produced shocking flavor combinations. Forgotten civilizations, extreme practices beyond these well-known empires. Lesser-known civilizations developed equally shocking food traditions. The Scythians of Central Asia practiced a form of ritualistic fermentation, aging mare's milk in horsehide bags for months until it became a potent alcoholic beverage. This kumis was considered sacred, consumed during tribal ceremonies where warriors would drink until they achieved trance-like states. In ancient Mesopotamia, the Babylonians developed elaborate food preservation techniques involving honey and exotic spices. They created mummified meats that could last for years, not for religious purposes like the Egyptians, but as military rations for long campaigns. These preserved foods were so concentrated in nutrients that small portions could sustain soldiers for days. Lessons from ancient tables, these shocking food practices reveal profound truths about human civilization. What we consider barbaric, our ancestors viewed as sacred. What we find disgusting, they considered divine. Modern archaeology continues uncovering evidence of these extraordinary culinary traditions. Chemical analysis of ancient pottery reveals recipes lost for millennia. DNA testing of mummified remains shows exactly what our ancestors consumed in their final meals. These ancient food trends weren't aberrations. They were sophisticated responses to environment, spirituality, and social structure. They remind us that our modern food choices, which seem natural and inevitable, are actually just the latest chapter in humanity's ongoing culinary experiment. As we judge these ancient practices, we must ask ourselves, what will future civilizations think of our own food trends? Will they be shocked by our factory farms, our processed foods, our casual waste of resources? The ancients fed their bodies, their souls, and their societies through food. Perhaps their most shocking revelation isn't what they ate, but how deeply they understood food's power to shape human destiny. These civilizations recognized that meals were never just about nutrition. They were about identity, spirituality, power, and survival. Modern neuroscience confirms what ancient peoples intuitively understood. Certain foods can alter consciousness, affect mood, and even influence decision-making. Their seemingly bizarre practices often contained kernels of sophisticated understanding about human psychology and physiology that we're only beginning to rediscover. As we continue excavating the past, each archaeological discovery reveals new layers of complexity in ancient food culture. From chemical analysis of cooking pots to DNA testing of ancient remains, science continues validating the extraordinary culinary sophistication of our ancestors. Their shocking food trends weren't primitive practices, but sophisticated solutions to the fundamental challenge of human existence: how to transform mere sustenance into meaning, community, and transcendence.